got a good work in today, good lengthy practice, a lot of different situations were covered, and I thought they concentrated well and had a good practice. So that's about it.
Is Eric Kendricks all right?
Eric Kendricks, yeah.
Yeah. He hasn't been getting a lot of reps.
Oh, he's fine, yeah. Yeah, he's good.
Is that heat related?
No.
For him?
No, just giving other guys some work.
The guys you got in the backfield, you envision maybe using up to 4 different backs?
I think we're capable of that. You know, I look at our backfield as one of the strengths of our team. You know, you start with Jet, and then after that you can jumble them around, and Thigpen and Jordan James and Malcolm, and I think if we wanted to, Paul Perkins is a guy that would enter that mix as well. I just think we have to decide how we want to proceed with him. But I think it's a really strong group. I like him.
You mentioned at media day that you were going to ride
Jet
ski to death. Do you see maybe you don't have to quite do that maybe?
I mean, he'll still be the main guy, but I think that if you can have 2 or 3, in our case 4 guys that you really feel good about, that's a real positive for your football team. You'd like Jet to be at his strongest in the fourth quarter. You'd like to insert Malcolm in the fourth quarter. If you've got a team down a little bit, if you find yourself in that situation, it's good to have that mix of guys. So I just think the way we run our offense and the tempo that we operate at, it's not unlikely that we can have 85 to 90 plays in games, and so we've got to have multiple backs if we're going to be able to do that.
Jordan, okay, he didn't get any
Jordan,
team time.
His ankle's a little sore, but he's been working through it. He pushed through it this morning in the walkthrough, and he did some things here today. So
now you got the quarterback situation resolved. Is there any other position that you're looking at that's a priority right now?
I would say right tackle. Right tackle still, a position that we've got to make a determination on. I would say safety, between Tevin and Andrew and Dalton, we still have to settle on the 2, although they'll all 3 play in the nickel situations. I still think at the defensive tackle or defensive end position with Oa and Cassius and Daytone, and we haven't seen Ellis yet, although once again they'll all rotate through. You're going to use all those guys throughout the game, and they'll probably get pretty equal reps. But if you're just looking for a starter at a position, those are the 3 that kind of stand out to me.
How about kicker? Did you find your starter today?
No, it's too early to say that. Although I'm impressed with the way Kaimi's kicking the ball. He asked for the 55-yarder. I wasn't going to give him one that far, and he asked for it, and then I don't know if he pulled it or pushed it, but he missed it and he wanted it again. He punched it through. So I really like his mindset. He's a tough-minded young man, and he'll do a good job for us if he's our starter.
Can we start saying he's a starter? I mean, it worked with Hundley.
I don't know. I mean, I would say that he's definitely the leader. I mean, we brought him in here on scholarship with the thought that he'd be our kicker. And then we brought Justin in because we'd heard a lot of good things about him, and he hasn't disappointed either. But we would like to make Kaimi the kicker if he earns the job, if he earns it.
Do you have a battle going at nose guard too, or?
No, Brandon, I guess it's what's important to understand about the defensive line is that if we can rotate 6 guys or 7 or even 8 guys through a game, that'll really help us play better. So you'll name a starter. There'll be a guy that, runs out there as the starter the first time the defense takes the field. But in all reality, when you look at the end of the game and who got the snaps, it should be pretty equal. And I think that, we talked about this in the spring. Our defensive line, much like our running back group, is, I think, one of the stronger points of our team, at least having depth. And so regardless of who starts, I think you'll see 6, 7, or 8 guys playing every game.
Those guys, are you going to look at situational type?
Yeah, I think both. I think what you'll do is you're always going to try to determine on third down, who your best 2 inside rushers are and get them in there as much as you can. On first and second down, if it's a traditional offense that's a little bit more run heavy in those situations or play action pass heavy, then you're going to get maybe a little more stout guy in there. But it could be by situation or it could just be by rotation. I think that you have to look at your defensive line and say, are they all the same, or are they all built for something a little bit different? If they're built for something a little bit different, then you try to get them in those situations. Right now, I think that they're all probably more built the same than different. One guy who, and I don't point guys out that often, but I'll tell you what, Cassius Marsh is an outstanding football player. I mean, I know that his history here has been kind of up and down, but that guy is a really, really, really good defensive end, big time defensive end. One of the better ones that I've been around.
Did you get a chance to look at the quarterbacks today?
That's a heavy statement, isn't it? The quarterbacks?
And yesterday you mentioned you didn't get a chance to look at them. Did you?
Well, I never focus on. I mean, I never focus all my attention on any particular position. It's just hard to do that. There's so much to watch, and you're watching tempo, and you're watching execution, you're watching defense, and so it's typically when I go back and look at the film that I kind of focus in on those guys. You guys had mentioned, or you'd asked the question about Brett yesterday, and so I went and looked at it last night and talked to Noel, and he said it never fails that, when you name a guy a starter after a hard battle, they come out that first practice, they go, okay, I'm the starter, I got to make every throw. I got to jam everything in there. And then looking at the film, it looked like Brett forced it a little bit last night. And I think today, just like I said, I didn't look at it closely, but I think he settled down a little bit. So.
The Cassius remark is only heavy if you turn out to be wrong.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I say that, and I, then I think back on, Chris Dolman is a guy I coached, and he went into the Hall of Fame this year. So maybe that's putting a little bit too much on Cassius, but he is a very, very good football player. He really is, and I think he could develop into something really special. That's probably a better way to put it right there.
Any update on the backup quarterback yet?
No. Give me some time on that, okay? I'll let you know. Yeah, one decision at a time.
Can I get your thoughts on Justin Combs and how he's been developing in camp?
Well, he's been battling through a little bit of a shoulder deal, but to his credit, he's been out here every day doing it. And sometimes he looks like he's playing with one arm out there, and he hasn't complained. He's just continued to fight. I like Justin. I think he's a very smart player. He plays with some savvy. He's got a fight the size factor. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he plays with good technique. And I think that as he develops, he'll become a really good player at this level.
What's it like having a high-profile player with a dad like him on the team?
It's not something that I think about.
Any updates injury-wise?
No. Jerry Rice was negative for any fracture. It's just I believe it's just a minor sprain.
Left ankle.
I think it's, you guys know. Well, I don't pay a whole lot of
Rios?
attention to those. Rios I think his quad tightened up, so we pulled him out. Cassius, his ham tightened up, so we pulled him out. But those are really precautionary, just so we can have them back tomorrow. I don't believe there was anything that was serious today. We're hopeful that we'll get some of those offensive linemen back. We had Torian back and Colby again today, and they did a pretty good job. They're still trying to catch up. It's good to have Malcolm back. It looks like close to full speed. It's good to have Joe back. That looks like close to full speed. Shaq was back. I think he was catching the ball again. Looks like he's back at full speed. I guess the main concern right now is just getting those offensive linemen back in the mix. We really need to get them back, but at the same time, we've got to be careful about when we let them get back in, just because of the heat and the head thing. So.
Someone was out here for a minute and then came back down. Is he still battling?
He is. There's a protocol that we're following for getting those guys back on the field, and one of the things they have to do is come out and they have to spend time with Coach Alosi on the side running and get through it okay, and then we ease them back into practice. So I would imagine if all went the way it should have gone with Jordan, that tomorrow morning he'll be able to get back out here and practice. So
How close is Ellis at this point?
he's closer than I thought he'd be after what's been about a little over a week. We thought that would be a 2-week, 3-week, maybe even a 4-week type of deal. You hate to put a time frame on a guy because we don't know else and how he heals, but he's been running and moving around. And I think if we can get him doing something, let's say 10 days before that opener, then he'd have a chance to help us. But we've got this guy's got a long career ahead of him. I think we've got to be, really careful about putting him out there before he's ready. So.
What's it do to have a starter named for the team?
I think it helps the team. I do. I think having a starter named at this point, everybody knows who's going to line up under center when we kick it off versus Rice. And I think the receivers now can start to, get in a little bit more of a rhythm with a particular guy. The offensive linemen get a feel for how he sets up in the pocket. Everyone gets a feel for his rhythm of cadence, how he operates, how he runs the team, the rhythm of the offense, all those things. So I think it just settles us a little bit. I think really though, at this point, a lot of guys are just concerned about themselves, and doing their job to the best of their ability. But I think those things will, as we go, in the next couple of weeks, that will settle in, and that'll help us having named Brett.
Can you get an update on Patrick Larimore too? Where is he, and do you expect him ready for the season? The start of the season?
I'm not able to tell you one way or another. Patrick had a concussion a few days ago, and we're very careful with those things. And so when he's symptom free and been cleared by the doctors, then we'll let him back out here.
And just gonna get an update on Manfro, how he's been playing. I know he's had a good camp. Is that kind of a surprise for you, or just give me your thoughts on how he's been playing?
Steven was kind of the surprise of the spring, and I think we've all kind of gotten used to him a little bit. But he's doing well. He's playing consistent. He's a versatile guy. He catches the ball well out of the backfield. We can use him as a running back to run the ball. He's a good pass protector. I think you'll see him a lot in our return game. I would be surprised if he's not, either our punt or kickoff returner or both, or at least in the rotation. We've got some pretty good guys that can do that for us. But he's a guy we like to see the ball in his hands. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you.